I just posted a review of Squid Game Season 3, so if you haven't watched that yet, watch that video, then come back to this video. I just wanted to talk a bit more about Season 3 here, because I've been surfing YouTube and I find out that folks have already posted entire recaps of Season 3 with full spoilers. But I did want to discuss some elements of Season 3 that caused confusion or division. The ending. The end of the games, that is to say. And here's the spoiler. Gi-hun sacrifices his own life to save the baby. Jun-hee had the baby in Season 3, and she had already sacrificed herself to save the baby in earlier episodes. After having the baby, her last message to Gi-hun was, "Save my baby. Don't worry about me anymore." And she killed herself because she knew she could not survive the jump rope game. So at the very end, Gi-hun leaps into action, as we always knew he had the ability to do. At the very end, it's just down to him and the baby because the VIPs are so cruel that they even drafted the baby to take the place of her mother and become a contestant, wearing her dead mother's number, 222. To the very end, the VIPs are convinced Gi-hun will sacrifice the baby to save himself, but it's the opposite. Gi-hun at the end talks about horses. He says, "We're not just horses." Gi-hun is a gambling addict who used to bet on horses, let's recall. At the end, he realizes his circumstances have reduced him to becoming just a horse in a horse race. But his last words are, "We're not just horses. Human beings are..." He doesn't finish the sentence using words. He finishes the sentence using his actions. He falls backward off the platform and dies in the fall. He's telling the VIPs by his actions that human beings don't sacrifice the innocent to make money or even to save themselves. In the Bible, the Apostle Paul tells us, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." It's Gi-hun's ultimate triumph over the arena. The VIPs all watched him die, and maybe in the future if God decides to change their circumstances so that the VIPs end up in the arena, will they show themselves to be horses or human beings? They'll remember that moment. If the tables are turned, they might think differently about the games. The Apostle Paul, for instance, began his life as Saul of Tarsus. He even persecuted Christians. But God changed his circumstances, and Paul's actions in obedience to God in subsequent years redeemed the lives of many. I just want to conclude by commending the acting in Season 3. The actors really had a chance to shine this season. The cutoff date to qualify for Emmy nominations was May 31st, so they might not qualify for Emmy consideration this year, but the Golden Globes are still up for grabs. For example, A Stellar Turn by jung-jae as Gi-hun. I believe Season 3 was his best performance yet. And this show, all 3 seasons, has been groundbreaking, thanks to writer-director dong-hyuk. I'll be looking forward to the next show from this brilliant auteur. And now for breaking news. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld President Trump's authority to enforce executive orders without first seeking permission from every federal trial court in America. It's part of his Article 2 powers under the Constitution. The case is Trump v. Casa, and I don't think this case is controversial. This case limits the actions of rogue judges in federal district courts who purport to overrule the president's actions. That's what this ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court accomplishes. The contentious issue here is the Immigration and Nationality Act, which has been the law for decades but wasn't always enforced. President Trump is enforcing the law, and that's what his opponents who favor open borders are upset about. I'll discuss the facts of the case just briefly. Earlier this year, the president issued an executive order that interprets the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution as applied to the contentious issue of birthright citizenship. In a nutshell, the government, through the president's executive order, circumscribes birthright citizenship with 2 requirements. The father must be present in the U.S. at least as a lawful permanent resident, LPR, and the mother, even if present lawfully, cannot just be present on a temporary basis. The president's interpretation of the 14th Amendment on the issue of birthright citizenship has yet to be decided by the Supreme Court. What this case, Trump v. Casa, decided is that a federal trial court can't just overrule presidential executive orders on a universal basis, because these trial judges were alleging that even if just one of them disagrees with the president's executive order, the executive order can't be enforced anywhere in America. And there are some trial judges who support the president's interpretation of the law through executive orders. And yet the trial judges who disagree with the president were alleging that just one of them could overrule the president on behalf of the entire nation. Absurd. An absurd argument. At some point, the substantive issue of the president's interpretation of the 14th Amendment, as applied to the issue of birthright citizenship in his executive order, may reach the Supreme Court. And for purposes of argument, let's say that the Supreme Court rules against the president. They might do that. But then, what can the president do? He might issue a different executive order that takes into account the Supreme Court's objections. President Biden did that repeatedly during his term of office, whenever his administration got a court ruling that it didn't like. So, although the case of Trump v. Casa seems like it's too preliminary to draw conclusions from it, it's a decisive case on the issue of separation of powers and the constitutional order. In other words, it's a big win for American democracy. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.